is now time for raising funds for world domination, day number 123. Orthoplex 64, how's it going? So here is the standard intro. Once again, there's no change on the renovation situation. Things are pretty quiet, which is nice. We're ticking down to the 1 month mark until the next N13 merits hearing. And as usual, during the stream today, we'll be working toward the next release of the terminal block mining simulation game. And of course today, I continued working on that long form video that I'm working on. I did just a couple of touch-ups on the graphic that I've been working on, and I finally turned my attention back to working on the script a little bit for this one. Now, for the remaining work of the terminal block mining game, as of tonight, we'll fire up the game, but I basically have all of the regressions fixed. There's the screen layer printing it's a bit more robust, but it's there's some new complexities with the layer merging stuff now that I kind of have to iron out. But last night where I left off, there was part of the there's a bug where part of the help menu was not clearing, and I actually took a look at that this morning before I merged it in. And the usual one that ended up being, there was a bug my test cases didn't catch with that region expansion feature. So in general, when I'm merging together layers in the multi-column character system, I have to check the layers above and below to make sure there's no, the region of consideration has to be expanded so that it doesn't cut characters in half, which would result in incorrect results when the layers are merged. So I have to expand that, but there was a bug in the thing that decides how to expand the layer. And so part of the border was actually getting a piece of transparency drawn beside it due to that bug. So I fixed that, and I think that is gone. But I do think I'll probably do a bit of refactoring to how the redraw messages are sent tonight. And then once that is all done, which is likely I'll probably finish that tonight. Actually, there's another change I'll probably make to how the player character moves around. And once that's done, then I'm feature complete with everything I want for the next release. And then it'll be just about thinking, try to get as many performance improvements in as I can. The help menu, for some reason, is extremely slow. So that should hopefully be simple to fix. Paxon says hello. How's it going? Gorillivs says, hi Robert, how's it going? James Goodrich, evening y'all, how's it going? All right. Came from how to make a CPU. You need more fame? Thanks, it's true, I do. If I had a whole bunch of fame, that I could get a bunch of money. Same? Yeah, that's my most popular video. That had 14 million views last time I checked. All right. All right, so here's what it currently looks like. So I finally got rid of that red snake that was following it around. I guess one major feature improvement is the fact that the player character is not it's not just a green square anymore. All right, excellent. No more issues with the menu. It's kind of amazing how much time I've spent fixing bugs with this menu. Centrifuge. What about a centrifuge? Google AI Account 1 says beep boop. That's exactly what an AI would say. All right, that's overall looking pretty good. I'm surprised YouTube stream chats are not flooded with bots like YouTube comment sections. There is also if you look up by where the cursor moving there, up by that top chat, I think you have that on your interface locally. You can switch between top chat and live chat, and the live chat I guess has whatever gets filtered from here. I never check it. Instead of I do need some moderation, so I've just, as an experiment, decided to just always leave it on top chat. It's the easiest and laziest thing, and it means I don't necessarily need a lot of explicit moderation. Although it's strange because sometimes I do have to moderate, like people just spam like an inappropriate word or something. But then other times, the things that actually do seem to get censored are usually like more like conceptual in nature. Like if I think the most common thing is that gets censored is when someone makes a joke. So if someone jokes about a conspiracy theory, that'll usually get censored, which is kind of funny. Okay, it works, and the test pass. So the next thing we're going to do was add an enum for the merging type. What will I call it? One of the two hardest things in computer science. Naming things. Yeah. It is hard. Because after I name it, then I have to figure out what to rename it. And then I have to go and change all the references. AI is supposed to be good at massive code base renaming. Isn't? My understanding was if it's a massive code base, then it gets outside of the context window and it starts to get bad. If it's massive enough, like a super big, a 5 million line code base, I think AI would do bad on that. But the sed command or the awk command, those are timeless tools that'll defeat any AI for renaming. GNU Linux is my favorite recursive acronym. I would have trouble thinking about other recursive acronyms. Are there many? YAML ain't markup language. Oh, okay. Interesting. I didn't know that about YAML. See, I want to name these in a way where it'll make sense after I forget how this works. Wine, PHP, and lame? Oh, I guess I didn't realize they were that common. Lame MP3 was something I needed to make MP3 files as a kid. The good old days. It used to be yet another markup language, but they repurposed it. That's going to get confusing if they renamed it afterward. Redman says, "Hey Gooners." That's a very presumptuous accusation. Your favorite U2 band member is The Edge? There's a band member named The Edge? That's a strange name. He's a guitarist. I liked the Bono. I've heard of the name Bono. Is it Bono or the Bono? Why doesn't that... Why doesn't that match? Oh, it's two merge types. Just Bono is making fun of the Edge. Yeah, I assumed, but I actually don't know enough about the band to pick up. That was my intuition. Well, we listened to a bunch of U2 recently, after maybe 20 years. I've listened to some of their songs, although I can't really bring them to mind. The bassist is the Goon. You sure do like using that word a lot. see you have a feature request for a Squid Game mining minigame. Could be huge, like Mr. Beast huge. It's possible. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot more that's necessary before I could. Many more systems and stuff that need to work. I think for like mass market, the people who'd watch Mr. Beast are going to have trouble compiling things from scratch on Linux. You could create some easy installer flat packs. Java write once, run anywhere. Yeah, it probably would run. I'd have to try. I haven't really tried it anywhere else, but it should be. Well, one consequence of like this endless refactoring that I've been doing, like making it more robust and stable, is it should run in some pretty constrained, like random environments now. Like it already runs in the TTY. It could probably run in like command.exe and stuff now. In fact, I'm sure if you try it now, it won't work, but there's probably like some basic I don't know. Probably like it's using the tput command to figure out the terminal width and stuff. So which is probably not portable. I think it's another way to do it on Windows. So I'd have to implement that. But yeah, there's I'm gonna get to the next milestone and maybe take a step back and maybe do like a bit of I haven't really been pushing the fundraising much lately, so I may change up the streams once I get the next release out. Get it working and stable and fast and. Windows WSL can use tput command. Yeah, I guess probably the WSL could probably. Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, there's a few people who've tried it, so if there's anyone out there who's actually tried the game or has Windows subsystem for Linux, you can give it a try. It's possible that it would just work out of the box. Let's see. Yeah, one of the things that I added recently. So if it doesn't work somewhere, like if you run it and it looks like it's broken, you can use dash compatibility with, and then instead of using the actual like character width detection, it'll just make assumptions about the give you like a worst case scenario for how wide characters are. So I can do compatibility with 3, and then any non-ASCII characters, it'll just assume that they have a width of 3, and additionally, anytime it updates a character, it always pre-writes to that location, so it'll be worse performance, but it should have a high probability of like, you know, showing you something. So you can see everything's super wide, and then you should be able to go with absurd widths. So compatibility with 8. Yeah. So now every column is every character in the game that's not ASCII is now 8 wide. And actually, while we're at it, let's give this sometimes works on stream, but sometimes it glitches. It's kind of random. Oh, good. It's actually rendering. So for some reason, sometimes when it's just random when I boot up. Sometimes the size will be like super small, and there's no way to fix it. What's happening right now? We are doing some demos of my terminal-based video game where you simulate the process of mining blocks in the terminal. So we're going to test out. Let's test it on the pure TTY. User UO9WT4 said S3N says sup. How's it going? All right. All right, that's looking pretty good. And the performance is not terrible, which is also good. All right, that's good. I'm glad to see that it's not totally broken. But yeah, if we can run this decent in the pure TTY, then you can probably run it almost anywhere. The other, I guess, main missing feature now. There's quite a few different types of items, so I need a way. I can select items, but there's no way to, yeah, like in this view, you can only see 4 at a time, which is not adequate. You can do this. What did the script language used? Oh, what language is it written in? It's written in Java. Okay. The next thing I was going to do was maybe make a special class for sending those parameters. Do you expect sourcing food in Exelheimberg will be challenging? Yeah, I expect it'll definitely be challenging. There's really no natural place to grow food up there, so it's all going to have to be grown in artificial environments. That's going to require a lot of energy. But I think the heat pump approach, that should work pretty good. Geothermal too. I don't think geothermal will work out for Exelheimberg. I researched it, and Exelheimberg is one of the least geothermally active places on the entire Earth's crust. In fact, it's geologically unique in the entire world. And there's actually some of the oldest fossils in the entire world up there. There's like a fossilized. It's famous for having a giant fossilized forest. And if you look at a map of the amount of heat flux from the Earth's crust, Exelheimberg is one of the lowest in the entire world. So geothermal is a no-go. I think it should be pretty windy in the winter. So I don't know if we'll have to look into some windmill technology, or it'd have to be advanced. I think a standard windmill would probably not survive. DIY 50 VHTE says hi. How's it going? Exelheimberg will have a chain of fast food restaurants. Food will be cheap and delicious. Well, I don't know if it'll be cheap. It'll probably have to be really expensive in order to make money on it. Maybe, and especially if it's if you're selling stuff to the military, you'll have to charge them a lot of money. You charge them like $50 for a cheeseburger. Full spectrum bulbs, aeroponics. Yeah, it'll require lots of artificial lighting, and looks like you're just looking for a bigger challenge than developing this game. Yeah, I mean, you gotta have goals. You can't just be resting on your laurels all the time. When will world domination start? It's already beginning. I'm winning people over. One heart and one mind, 12 viewers at a time. Now I just got to get my terminal-based video game working. And then the money is just going to start pouring in. later this week. Yeah, it's possible by the end of the week I may be pretty. I will definitely be on the wrapping up stages of what I want to get done for the next release. Nice. Thanks for the full spectrum bulb tip. We'll practice growing tomatoes indoors this winter. Actually, I think if you do want to hydroponically grow stuff, I think you actually you don't want full spectrum, because there's only plant life only absorbs a certain subset of the spectrum. So like full spectrum is good for, it's pleasant for human beings because it mimics natural sunlight, but plants, you only need like you have to Google this, but it's I think a red and blue or something. So if you look at like a hydroponic growing operation, it probably depends on the plant species too, but you only need a subset of the spectrum, and any of that extra wavelength of light is basically just wasted. Using Dwarf Fortress as a model, I think this block mining game should clear 19 million easy. I think so too. Sunrise now. Have to go to work. Nice. Enjoy the workday. I updated the wrong class. How did I do that wrong twice? We know I do want that. Just mess with the lighting until all your plants appear black. I don't know. I'm not. Maybe that would work, but I'm not sure. If that would assume that plants have 100% absorption efficiency at their peak. Yeah, I don't know. I'd be surprised if that's an actual way of calibrating it. It probably depends a lot on plant species. Bye, comrades. See you later. Have a good day. Good treatment for SAD. Those bulbs for me. Another set of bulbs for the plants. Can we expect Amazon delivery to Axel Heiberg? I can't see why not. Once we get that Deepwater port going, then we'll have an Amazon warehouse set up there in no time. Yeah, he says full spectrum LED grow lights are best choice for indoor tomatoes. Respond to it with like, are you sure? I thought they have I thought they're not the most energy efficient, and it's better to get selective wavelength lights or something like that. I'm curious. Is when you point out stuff like that, sometimes it'll just be like, oh yes, you're right about that. But if it gives you some more specific information, I'd be interested to see what that is. That's an excellent point and a common misconception. While it's true that plants as chlorophyll pigments absorb blue and red light most efficiently for photosynthesis, a narrow spectrum, only red light and blue light, is not the most effective for overall health and productivity of a tomato plant. Interesting. Ask it if it's if there are other plants where it is like, ask them if it's industry standard for any plants to use a specific spectrum. Because I have seen in, like, all the, when vertical farming was a big thing, and it was a big fad, everyone was like, oh, we're going to use science to like optimize all this stuff. So I assume it has been studied very well. And some of the like more professional setups, they were actually trying that and doing it at scale. But I don't know, maybe it just makes the plants like really unhealthy. Wattage on these lights appears to be high. I guess that would be expected for actually growing life and food. Yeah, you can make like, when you think about it from like a conservation of energy perspective, like the average human body is emitting like 100 watts of energy at any one time. And through simple conservation of energy, if you're exuding 100 watts at any given time and you're eating like a normal diet through food, you had like to put that energy from the light bulb into the food, there has to be enough wattage output that's being radiated through photons into the leaves to then eventually end up generating that. So if you have like at any given moment you have 100 watts of heat flux from your body simultaneously in some hydroponics thing, you have to have probably like thousands of watts of heat flux, of like photon flux, going into the food that you will eventually eat at some point. And I imagine there's enormous losses throughout that process. Do you see Starship had a second scrub today at 7 p.m. for bad weather? I didn't specifically see anything about the scrub. I saw I think I saw something on Twitter. Was there did something blow up? I thought I saw something. Maybe it was an old one. I mean, Starship has launched so much now. I don't even know what are they on, like their thousands launch right now. I don't even pay attention to them. But I saw something at some point. Something had blown up, and it had a really interesting looking debris cloud way up in orbit. International Space Station uses LED light emitting diode lights for growing food. Specifically, the Veggie and Advanced Plant Habitat APH systems use a combination of red, blue, and green LEDs to provide optimal light spectrum for plants. Targeted spectrum, plants primarily use red and blue for photosynthesis. Red LEDs promote flowering and fruiting. White blue LEDs support strong vegetative growth and leaf development. Green LEDs are included to help the plants appear more like their green counterparts. That's not it's not super like conclusive though. It'd be nice if it just said like, what is the minimum requirement? I don't know. I'd probably, if my survival depended on it, I'd probably research it a bit more than just AI. Money O. Richards, JT. Hardware validation of the advanced plant habitat analysis, canopy photosynthesis, and reduced gravity. Interesting. I guess you can ask it if there is some examples of plants that only require where it's examples of plants where it's possible to grow them in a healthy way with only red and blue light. if you're interested. For a question like that, I'd probably just Google it and go look for primary sources. The ISS supports your position. They're not full spectrum. The green seems to be non-essential. Axel Heiberg will be like outer space in some ways. Yeah, actually, like people talk a lot about going to Mars and stuff like that, but there's so much of our own planet where like nobody lives for hundreds of miles. We have like a lot of inhospitable places here on planet Earth. We can like, practice living in those places, but like we have extreme conditions on Earth, and we can't even figure out how to live in those places. How are we going to live on Mars? Yeah, like from a business economic standpoint, it would almost make sense to try and like build a permanent base. Build like a replica of like your intended Mars base here on Earth, in like the most inhospitable place where you can't go outside, and that would be basically, you can't go for a walk on Mars, so it'd be the same thing. And if you can't afford to do that, then you can't afford to do it on Mars. Because here you could still just like, if you break down and you need it, you could just call in a plane and get them to deliver McDonald's food to you. people don't talk about the gravity differential between here and Mars. For example, can women bring a baby to full term in that gravity without complications? Yeah, it's an interesting question. I assume that someone that's probably been researched somewhere. You just have to Google it. Probably, I'm sure NASA has thought of that. Miss Jess, what's up, Robert? It's your favorite chatter. How's it going? What is going on in this chat? Space dominated? Space tomatoes. We were discussing the idea of growing plants on Axel Heiberg. Don't even want to have a baby on Earth. Stuff doing it in space. Yeah, but what if you're on Earth? We had lots of resources and a stable society and government healthcare and big yards and no societal issues. I think that's one of the major things with the fertility crisis. If people would think more about having kids if their immediate needs were taken care of. But now everyone has to work 1,000 hours a day. Don't like children. Still don't think that would convince me. But it would convince many. Yeah, I mean, evolution, every person that exists today is part of an unbroken evolutionary chain that lasted millions of years. So when people are like, hey, everyone just decided to not have children anymore, I'm like, it seems a little bit sus. It's 100% what the conditions were expected to raise kids in. Yeah, but on some level, you can also say it's just like a video game, but they're turning the difficulty level up. So now we're in like I never watched that film, so I don't know exactly what it's about. But Mad Max, is that the one where they're like, it's some apocalyptic thing, and they all have these weird looking cars they drive around. I don't know anything about the movie, but I know it's like some action movie that was. Yeah, that's reality. So we kind of like Well, I'm not sure who the antagonist in that is, but it's just like we have to survive with Terminator. So we gotta like survive, and then have children and raise them. But the Terminator exists in the form of the tax man, and then the government's changing the rules all the time, trying to take all your money away. It's Australian. Yeah, if you're in Australia, it's already like super hot in a desert like there. You don't even have to imagine to get into the role play of it. Those cars were badass. Yeah. I should actually watch the movie, but I'll probably never get around to it. The most resilient humans will be those born and raised in Axelhamburg. Yep. So we'll have to get together the collective of the most advanced humans. The Ayatollah of rock and roll will solve our pregnancy problems. Ayatollah of rock and roll. I'm not sure what that is. Not just the current difficulty. A lot of people don't want to bring humans into a world that is crumbling. The film Mad Max is Australia. Oh, it is interesting. The world is humming along magnificently. I don't know. There's parts of the world that are not doing so great right now. I think and people can be forgiven for pointing out that. I mean, I keep up with a lot of like all the like military escalations and stuff that pops up in my feed a lot, and there's a lot of stuff popping off right now. The Ayatollah of rock and roll. Oh, okay, I don't understand the reference at all. I guess that's what I get for bringing up a movie that I've never watched. Man, this game is so cool when it's not full of bugs. it's always been the case, but we didn't know about it. Someone somewhere is always getting a disease, starving. I don't think so. I mean, there always has been like skirmishes and stuff like that, but the like the number of specific things, like the number of military casualties on any given day in recent past has gotten, like, I think Russia is up to like 1 million casualties now from the war in like the last few years. That's definitely, if you draw the graph, it's definitely a lot more than years prior to that. Robert, do you want kids? Yeah, that was a part of the original plan, but we'll see what happens with life this way. Things are, yeah, I'm not sure what the future holds now. We never had this level of wealth inequality for a start. Yeah, it's not just wealth inequality too. It's also I mean, it's also one thing that I think you can't disagree with is that we've never had a time in history where there's so many things that are changing so rapidly at once. Like, even if you live in a place, even if you live in like a kingdom and your kingdom gets like conquered or something, the ability to understand what is happening is like 500 years ago was pretty clear. But today we have information war, we have physical war, we have like we have, you know, a confluence of so many different things. We have so many different, like, we got well, you said before, like, those things always happened, we just didn't know about it. But also now, because we know about so many other conflicts, we have, like, you know, every war can be like a proxy war. Like, I mean, one result of our immigration is we've brought people here from some countries that are in these civil wars, and then we brought in immigrants who are on both sides of the civil war, so they like fight with each other here, and now I have to learn about all these like foreign civil wars. And the ability to like process what is happening is and the wealth inequality stuff, and all the like crazy, like, predatory stuff that banks are doing, and mischievous things that governments are doing. And I mean, the ability of science and technology to like engineer viruses and stuff like that. Like, even if you know, even if you assume there's no funny business going on with COVID, the mere fact that it is possible, it is scientifically feasible for there to be funny business there, that opens up so much more like distrust and things. Like, if COVID happened 500 years ago, like, the worst you'd have is that people would say it's like bad spirits or something, or it's like a, you know, a curse or something, and people would be kind of people would not fight over that. But now we can, like, you know, we can fight over what is reality. Didn't have the wealth to be unequal with four. We're on track to have trillionaires very soon. Yep, and I'm going to be one of them. Just as soon as the stream viewership spikes up a little bit, and I get my first few $1 billion super chat donations. And then I can contribute to wealth inequality. All right, I guess I spaced out. I didn't change anything. So the next thing is going to be so this function should start using that new class I created. Why don't you get a corpo software gig? Is it because you don't want to, or something along those lines? The detailed answer is in, if you go back and watch some of my long form videos. If you watch my my review of working at NVIDIA, working at Amazon, my how to become a 37-year-old broke loser video, that does break down the topic in detail. I guess the short answer is I chose to start a business instead of doing a 9-to-5, and I have succeeded in making enough money to pay myself for the last 11 years, but I have never been able to achieve sustainable growth. YouTube is recently doing YouTube has been the main source of growth in revenue, although it's still not big enough. It grew from zero. So I think last year's revenue was like 6,000 or something, and then I can't remember what it was this year, but and it has proved more reliable than the contract software stuff I was doing. You only need $100 billion super chats to get there. Not impossible. Yeah, I'm pretty much almost there. I got a decent number of super chats over the last 123 days. GPS system alone is a technological wonder. Paid for by U.S. taxpayers. Given away for free. It's true, it is pretty impressive. Makes sense. The chances of exponential growth are higher. Yeah, it's it's a lifestyle choice about after I worked at Amazon, my conclusion was if I worked as hard as I worked at Amazon, I could probably do better for myself financially in the long term. Although that is not proven true at all. But the biggest win from having those 9-to-5s would have been the stock options. So I would have done better, but also I would have also been in a much higher tax bracket. I would have had to live in the city. I'm not sure. I may have even living in those places. I probably would have decided to get like a mortgage or something. Get a house, which for the period that housing went up in price, I would have made a lot of money on that too. But at the same time, like there's other people who just, they're, I remember seeing a story of, this is even just a couple of years ago, like after the bubble kind of popped. So there's someone who had a software dev job here. I think they said they worked at Microsoft, and they had put a couple $100,000 into a house, right at the peak of the market. And then immediately after lost their job, and then the bank reappraised the house for less, and then asked them to put up collateral, and was within the span of a few months, they bought this house. They lost the house, lost $200,000, and then lost their job. So they're completely wiped out of life, which is pretty bleak. But that's the gamble that we play in modern day society. All right, that works. high-speed internet that can stream video from other countries in real time. Extremely high resolution wasn't possible even just a few years ago. Tried over dial-up. Yeah, I used to have dial-up. That was fun back in the day. What are your thoughts on NeoVim? A bunch of people have suggested I use it. I tried it once for 30 seconds. Enough to know that it's good. That it seems very compatible with what I know about Vim. It is on my to-do list to do a further investigation and play around with language server stuff. But I've just have not got there. Downloaded an entire Alia music video via Talib. One of my life's achievements. Yeah, I remember trying to download videos and stuff like that, and they would always get corrupted too. It's kind of amazing how simple it would be to just checksum the data, but all those file sharing apps and stuff back in the day, they just didn't bother to checksum anything. Took me about a month. Yeah, I remember people I went to high school with who were constantly downloading the absolute max amount. They'd have 5,000 downloads going all the time. They download all these movies and then never watch them. Still friends with people I met on Napster. Oh wow. Interesting. I can't think of anyone that I met on those. Yeah, I think. Well, I don't know. I never really used Napster. Was Napster kind of like a social network? I know about like there was like WinMX, and then Kazaa was a thing for a while, but I never like messaged anyone on those. We have cars. They can drive themselves. We can listen to satellite radio. Yeah, a lot of those innovations the list are like, those are impressive, but also like, I mean, one issue is that technology is also being weaponized against people. So like we also have advanced technology to track and surveil people in their cars. And we also have cars that can now lock you inside of them when they catch on fire. That was not that we didn't have that technology in the 1920s cars. People could escape if the car was on fire. You can message people on Napster. Used to message people who were downloading rare stuff. So my closest friends and people I met on eBay. Actually, from some of the random old junk that I was buying, it also occurred to me, like I never thought about this at all, but I think eBay is also, in a way, a bit of a social network. Like people who collect obscure things and stuff, which is an interesting idea of it being a social network. Totally is. These people are my real IRL friends now. It's because we're buying niche stuff off each other. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, my requirement for an IRL friend is they have to be like physically in the same place. Like these people, are these local people? Because I mean, one drawback to eBay is it's a lot of the random stuff I buy, it's like people somewhere in the U.S. And you have to drive for hundreds of miles to meet them. We're in the same country, but I travel fairly regularly. I always meet up with them when I'm in their city. Oh, interesting. Yeah, this is the first other time I've heard someone articulate that eBay is kind of like a social network. We chat online every day. Neat. Right, that works. kind of thing women do. We reach out to each other and put the effort into forming a friendship. That's why we're not lonely. But that takes enormous amounts of free time. It would take thousands and thousands of hours. I mean, back when I used to go to like networking meetups and stuff like that before, like it's very easy to meet random people and have surface level connections, but to to meet, I find the paradox of networking is like if you go to networking events, I find you meet people who are just there for like the sake of networking, and I mean that's one place to meet people, but the easiest people to network with are also the people who have like the least deep connections, because by virtue of like constantly networking with people, they're they're doing the same thing with like 1,000 other people. So you get a lot of like, actually I found in a lot of cases, like a lot of, there's quite a few people I've met, the most friendly people and the most like enthusiastic people that you meet at meetups are the least likely to respond when you actually try to connect with them. Doesn't really, that's an excuse. I mean, I guess so. It's possible to find people of same friendship style. Mine is low maintenance, and the friends stick around, share that philosophy. Yeah, I actually, I guess on that note, I don't, well, on this topic of forming connections, I should advertise this more, but I don't. There's a Discord server, if any of you want to join it. So if you go to my channel page, there's a link. There's a link to a Discord, and if you click it, the link has a mistake in it, and I put that deliberately so that bots won't join. So if you click the link in my bio, there's an invite link, and the last character is a Z character. If you remove the Z character, then you'll get to the actual Discord. Sometimes Bestie and I don't talk for 2 months. We're besties no matter what. Yeah, I have a few people who are, I guess it's usually more than 2 months, usually like every 6 months or so we go out for a walk. Actually, I should reach out to some of the people that I if they're still around here. They may have left Ontario. I'll join, but generally what happens is random dudes start messaging me. Yeah, that's I'm not sure what to do with that problem. The one issue of in the ideal case, I would hope to build a so-called community that's like, that's anything other than like 100% male. But I think that technology is already very male dominated. But then because of like the nature of the people who are there, you'll get like, a few, there's probably like some weird people who will scare away any of the women who do join, especially if you have like an obviously, you could just have like an anonymous name, like a gender neutral name or something. That would probably be the best thing. But if you experience, TBH, get weird women messaging me from Discord servers too. Yeah, honestly, some of the conversations I see in the Discord are positive, but my overall impression of like Discord is there's so many weird people on the internet. And I've already had some people like message get like people getting like angry at other people who like don't like what someone else is saying on there, and so they like fight with each other and message me about it, and I'm like, this is not, I don't want to be involved in this. But I do, if anyone messages you and says something weird, let me know about it. Send me a DM or email me or something. Because there are, like, in terms of percentage, I think a high percentage of the people there, I think, are reasonable people who could have normal conversations. But then every once in a while, there's a couple of like, and sometimes there are people who drop into chat who are like, I don't know about this person. And of course, if you ban people, like, they can come in with, you can just have put like a fake name or something. Let me into general chat. Is it requiring you to get permission to join? I think Discord is full of neurodivergence, but it's still my favorite place on the internet. Yeah, there are. I'm really not into. Can't see any channels. You may need to give me a role. Oh, okay. So if you joined the so if you're able to join mine, so what I've decided to do, like, there's a bunch of people that asked me to make a Discord. So what I decided to do is the official Discord is mine, which just has the rules, and so that I've decided if people want to like make their own, I'll like send a link to that one as long as they obey the rules. So if you read through the rules, there's a link to like the actual one. So if you go there and you get into a fight with someone, and then you decide that you're going to start the good Robert Elder Discord server, and you talk to some people there, and you want to manage that one, and like, I guess some people post like, if I was going to make that one the main one, I would probably want to have more strict rules, like about if people want to say specific political things and stuff. because there's specific things there where I'm like, yeah, I would not post that, but if other people want to post it, I don't want to like censor people all day, because I don't want the first like few hundred people there to go there and think, oh, this is what, because this is not banned, this is what this guy endorses. But like if someone wants to do like a left-leaning one and then a right-leaning one or something, but actually there's not even that much activity there anyway. So if necessary, Discord's highest server verification level lets you require accounts to have verified phone numbers. Yeah, I guess I could, if it becomes a problem, I guess I can up that requirement a little bit. I mean, I spend most of my day like working on stuff, and I find those kinds of chat apps like Discord and Slack, like it's really easy to like get drawn into the drama and like people fighting and stuff, and I don't have time to be chatting on these things all day. I have to work and produce money. All right, that looks like it works. I admin a Discord server for a K-pop group. Many people have tried to make rival servers, but ours won in the end because I know how to build communities. Other people don't. Well, it's a valuable skill to have. I'm curious, what would you say are some of the top community building tips, or like common mistakes that people make? Top tip is just be nice and supportive of everyone. Build trust and rapport. Make people feel heard and validated. Yeah, one thing I try to drop into the one, like the actual active one there, and just when I see stuff, give it a like. I don't really chat there much. I'll probably try to make a habit of not chatting, and just like give a like to things every once in a while. What do you do about people fighting? Because I think that's a high likelihood thing. It's like something small. Next tip is be very gentle when redirecting people. Who F up, firm but gentle. Give people second, third chances if they're young. Disagreements happen, just let them play out with reminders to be respectful. Yeah, that's kind of what I'd tend to lean towards. Although sometimes it's like, I guess in some cases you may have to make a judgment call, but like, is something crossing the line? And because sometimes people get fed up and then just leave. It's a lot of work to be the arbitrator of all that kind of stuff. Let's see. So I think that's actually pretty close to what I wanted to do. I'm learning Python for DevOps. Should I stick with Bash or Python? I would say for DevOps, like by DevOps, do you mean specifically like, well, what do you mean specifically by DevOps? I would just interpret that to be like, or maybe like an on-call person who has to like log onto a machine and fix stuff, or like do like set up integration pipelines and stuff. Either way, I would lean more toward Bash than Python, because a lot of the stuff you're gonna have to learn, like if you want to hop onto a random machine and like figure something out, figure out why something's broken, or launch a task, or launch an environment or something, it's going to require Bash. And very often if you do it in Python, it's going to involve writing a Python script that just calls a Bash shell, or Bash, or whatever shell language. Python, personally, I would say like my progression for trying to automate stuff is like, number one is I'll figure out the commands manually. I'll do it manually the first time, and then the first time I do it, I'll save the commands I use, the Bash commands, and then if I do end up doing it a lot, I may refactor that, or it's like complex, I may use a Python script to kind of glue together various things that may have to be done in Bash, like if I have to log into a server and grab something, and it'd be a kind of a combination of Python and Bash. And then if I need something even more scalable, then I'd write it in a like more robust systems language like Java, or I guess other people do Rust and Go. I agree with you. That book called Automate with Python is really good. In the next 1 month or so, I will be following and learning through that book. Also, Python is easier than Java. Yeah, I think that they're, in my opinion, they're kind of like Python is good for low fidelity work. So if you're writing something that's only a few hundred lines and you're going to like basically throw it away. But if you want something that's going to run like a high availability service that has to be correct and do error checking and have good logging, then Java's much better. But it's more work and takes more time to build. And I guess if you haven't already, if you want to learn Bash, I would highly recommend you search for my favorite Linux command series, where I have 120 YouTube Shorts videos. It's 2 hours, 2 solid hours of Shorts videos. They took me about 1.5 years to create all those, and they go through all of the core utils commands. And if you go watch all those videos, you'll definitely learn a few things from about Bash and like the command line in general. I saw all of your new core util shorts. They're useful. I kind of want to build something of my own. DevOps was just an excuse. You see, you want to build something of your own. Generally speaking, people don't really write much software. People don't write software of any meaningful size in Bash. Just talking about Python. I guess if it works for you, I don't have enough. If you are asking for advice, I don't have enough information. Well, it is 12:30, and I got a bit of progress done tonight. All right, I'll leave it there for tonight, and we'll be back tomorrow. I was actually thinking I might get done. There's a bit of work I wanted to do on the player character. So this is the one last thing that I think I can probably simplify. So instead of right now it's just a this thing where I'm like clearing it and stuff. What I'll be able to do is I can now use my placement offset feature and then just update that. And then use this merging flag. And that should pretty much complete. That'll be like the proof case for this that this feature actually works. All right, so we'll pick that up tomorrow, and we'll leave it there. Have a good night, guys.